Ball boys. You know, it's me, Tyler, and Mark. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great, Tyler. It's time to talk some sports.
Sports balls.
You know what it is. We're on the Twitter machine, X, whatever you want to call it.
Twitter. It's Twitter.
So, first big thing that we want to talk about is the Michael Oher situation. If you guys don't know, Michael Oher is currently in disputes.
Legal
disputes with the Touheys, which are the family in the book The Blind Side and the movie as well. He's claiming that the documents that he signed when he was a kid were conservatorship forms that allowed the Touheys to like do business transactions on his behalf instead of actual like adoption paperwork. So he's claiming he never saw a dime from the movie and its revenues. He wants that conservatorship destroyed, and on top of that, he wants the money that he, from his perspective, is owed. Very crazy considering that is a huge movie, at least in our lives.
Very, probably, if not the biggest football movie, one of the biggest, like top 5 for sure.
And top 5 as far as like just quality of movie. But I mean, like a lot of things get over embellished and changed to be more appealing on the silver screen. But
yeah,
I guess Michael is not okay with the way that the story was conveyed. It's been like that for a long time, but I guess he just figured out the conservatorship situation in February of this year. So legal action is going to be thrown back and forth. And obviously, I'm going to deny. My lawyers aren't going to speak on my behalf. We're just going to have to wait and see what the Touheys do. But I mean, I don't think it would make sense for them to like take all the money. Not saying he's a liar, but I mean, they're very successful, and that money that they made from the movie was probably chump change.
It wouldn't make sense, but then at the same time, greed never makes sense. Harboring massive amounts of wealth never really makes a whole lot of sense. Because again, as an old adage,
it's not though. Because another fun fact. So the book netted the family $14,000 per person in the story. They got 50% of that revenue split down, I believe, 5 ways.
Yeah.
So they all got about $14,000 from that. And then
it wasn't a good book.
The movie got sold to whoever made the movie.
Yeah. I think it was Fox.
Yeah, and I think the ESPN article said it was like $40,000 a person. And when they sold the franchise for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
What do you mean? Okay, what do you mean that like the movie sold for $40,000?
No. Like they all got a cut. Like
they only made $40,000 off that movie
per person. Yeah,
that allegedly is a fucking lie.
Because
$40,000
you can
times
do
5 people.
You can split up get paid for making a movie in different ways. From what I understand, if you're not like a very prominent actor, you're not really getting a slice of the revenue. You're probably taking some sort of salary from it.
Mark,
like the Scarlett Johansson thing.
That's only $200,000.
Yeah, out of a movie that made $300 million.
Mark, there's no way they only made $200,000 from that movie. No way. There's no way on earth.
That's what the ESPN article says. Obviously, we don't know.
No way that family only made $200,000.
Since the that company like sold, like they obviously got audited heavily from the IRS and stuff. So I don't think they were stealing money, but they could have made him sign legal documentation,
which is what he is alleging, that they made him sign a conservatorship would put them in control of his money and his assets, just like the whole Britney Spears thing.
Yep.
With her trying to end the conservatorship from her father.
And this is a little different because they're using his name, image, and likeness all over their like foundation, their nonprofit.
Yeah,
they're making money off of him still, indirectly.
They try to make themselves look like they're a great Christian and loving people, and now it's like, nah, these great people were not abusing, but using this person.
Nah, I would say abusing.
I wouldn't say
it's
abuse.
It's not like physical or mental abuse, but you're abusing you're taking advantage, your stronghold and taking advantage of a person that's vulnerable.
I feel like with the word abuse is kind of strong. So I would say you're taking advantage.
You're abusing your power as a guardian of sorts.
Yeah. So I feel like they are most definitely like taking they most definitely took advantage of him and like where he was at the time, especially with how
if this is all true.
With how the movie and the book and everything portrays his life and his upbringing,
right.
They took advantage of a kid that had nothing and came from nothing, and were giving him a good life, and then next thing you know, he's just becomes a all pro SEC player, all pro
Super Bowl champion,
like
been there 2 times, won once.
Yeah, so like he's a great player, and I
mean, I don't think it's even the money because he has made
probably
enough
millions.
He's probably worth more than them
easily.
So I mean, I don't think it's over the squabble of the money. It's more the principle behind it, where this is my life story, and this is.
And you guys kind of like sold it, and
because he's been critiquing the movie and the book like ever since he retired.
I never knew that he did not like it.
It would be like drops every once in a while. It'd be like, oh, this detail isn't 100% true. Like details about his mother being a drug addict in the movie. He's saying that's not 100% how it is. I kind of just chalk that up to, they're like over embellishing certain details of the story to make it more interesting for the silver screen. But I mean, that's somebody's actual life story. It's kind of messed up.
I feel like there are things. I feel like that does happen a lot. Is as you're trying to make a movie, you want to make it more interesting. That's why documentaries are a little bit better. Like show things like Netflix, HBO. Like they do a really good job of like, all right, we're gonna give you a really good documentary.
Yeah, like Johnny Manziel.
Unless it's like a docuseries, like something like the Dahmer series on Netflix. Like that's a docuseries.
I don't know if that was a docuseries more so than
it was a docuseries.
I mean, it was a reenactment of sorts.
Yeah, it was a docuseries.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not a traditional documentary.
Yeah, because there's docuseries like the story OJ. That would be a docuseries. There's like a document.
But the story of OJ was like an interview type thing.
No, the story OJ on FX. They reenacted the whole thing as a docuseries.
I didn't see that.
But then you have your documentary of like actually breaking down the truth and the facts of everything, and that's more like true to life and going back doing interviews and stuff like that. See, there's a different because you have your docuseries and you have your documentaries. Documentaries are more true to life and more like how you say going back and talking to, let's say, survivors or people that went through the said ordeal. So like not like if you watch anything about the 9/11 thing, all those are documentaries.
Yeah.
Rather than docuseries. Well, if they were to go and like redo the whole 9/11 thing, that'd be a docuseries.
So messed up.
I think it would be amazing. They should do that.
But anyways,
I'm putting this out there. I want a 9/11 docuseries.
No, speaking of docuseries,
from every side.
From
Bin Laden. I want a Bin Laden point of view. I want one of the guys that crashed the plane point of view. I want a firefighter that lived and one that died, and someone who lived who survived the building, and someone who died in the building.
There is something like that.
Give me a whole bunch of point of views, and like I want Netflix to make it, and I don't give a fuck about nobody's being sensitive. Fuck that. Tyler. Nah, fuck that.
Back to sports.
9/11 docuseries.
Speaking of sports docuseries, we also got to keep our eyes out for the Johnny Manziel docuseries that just came out.
Watched it.
I have not watched it either. We're gonna keep our eye out on that for you guys.
Is it out?
I think episode 1 is out. because there's that clip of him saying that he watches literally zero film, had zero watch time on his team iPad and everything.
I feel like the whole thing's out. I haven't.
Is it
checked.
the whole thing? I don't know.
I haven't checked.
But I saw that clip like circulating, doing its rounds on social media. So I'm excited to watch that. Me and Tyler have been watching Hard Knocks.
I haven't watched episode 2. I haven't watched episode 2 yet.
It's just come out, actually.
Oh, that's crazy. I have not watched episode 2. Episode 1 of Hard Knocks, I'm like, all right. Like they
set it up very well.
They got something going. Like this is different. This is not last year's Hard Knocks. This is gonna be a good one. It looks like it. Personally,
the Arizona Cardinals, the worst, probably the most vanilla team you could have possibly chosen.
What do you mean?
It's a bad team to do Hard
Knocks. But that was the first in season. That was the first time they did an in season Hard Knocks. Like
they're really out here copying and building the Browns.
Building the Browns was because they were on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, but building the Browns also follows the team throughout the entire season.
Mark, they only started doing that. They only started doing that because of Hard Knocks.
But they did the in-season stuff that Hard Knocks didn't do.
They legit ripped off Hard Knocks.
But they do it better. They won Grammys for it.
Who?
Channel 5. Like, whoever produces it, they got Grammys for Building the Browns.
They didn't get a Grammy. Grammys for music.
Or, I'm sorry, Emmys.
It's not whatever. An Oscar either.
I don't know. They won some award, Tyler.
I don't think they won that good of an award. But I would say this. But then at the same time, to be completely fair, every team has one. Like, I think the Ravens have an in-season.
Yeah, it's an Emmy award-winning show. Building the Browns.
I'd say that the Ravens have a show like this. Like, there's a lot of teams that have in-season shows where they try to, like, give, like, a little bit of, how do you say, in-season footage and, like, little behind-the-scenes.
Which is fun, but it's not as fun as Hard Knocks because it's a TV production company rather than the teams putting out their own media. So you get to see other things.
Yeah.
Like, if on Building the Browns, you never would have seen those Hugh Jackson meetings. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that, like, that conversation between him and Corey Coleman, you never would have saw. You never would have saw him congratulating Baker Mayfield on beating out whoever the fuck was the third-string quarterback for the second-string job.
Yeah,
you never would have saw.
You wouldn't see things like that. But I would say the one thing that I did not want to see the Jets only because the Jets were like on Hard Knocks like I think like 2-3 years ago. So it was like, damn, we're going back. Like I'm pretty sure it was like.
But the Jets have some of the most iconic Hard Knocks moments.
Yeah, but it's like
that Rex Ryan team.
They've been on Hard Knocks like what 3-4 times in the past 20 years.
It's an entertaining team.
It's a team that keeps fucking losing.
Yeah, they usually pick teams like that.
They always because you have to be like the bottom half of the league. I feel like what they should have did and what I would have wanted is a team that's never been on Hard Knocks. I would have loved it if they would have covered the Saints. Yes, because I'm a Saints fan, but also because it's a team that's never actually been on Hard Knocks, and like every team that was up for Hard Knocks this year,
like the fact that the Patriots have been on Hard Knocks, anybody could be on Hard Knocks. They got Bill Belichick on Hard Knocks, Tyler.
Yeah, but I feel like it was kind of like a little bit different. Like they wanted to kind of give them a breakdown of like what it was to be on like a win, like what it was for in a sense the dynasty at the time.
Hard Knocks used to be a big deal. I think this is the first time since the Browns were on Hard Knocks that I've actually been interested in Hard Knocks.
I watched. I think they did like the Chargers,
which is a boring team.
Chargers and the Rams, and that was the Rams Super Bowl year. I think that was. I love that one.
I mean,
I'd say there's a lot of.
I don't think there's like they're a good team, but I don't think they're all like a very interesting team.
I think
like the Dolphins would be a really good team to do Hard Knocks on.
Why?
Because I don't know, their coach is kind of quirky. They got like Tyreek Hill's a big personality. I mean, especially a lot of guys in their offense are young. They got big personalities. Their defense is phenomenal. I think it's a good team. The coach is a big part of the show, so he's got to be interesting. Well, so Mike McDaniel is one of those guys that I would consider to be interesting enough. And you have the personalities like Tyreek. You can follow Tyreek Hill with a camera and make a whole entire TV show about it.
I feel like this. I feel like there's a lot of things like that coming out, especially like Hard Knocks is like more preseason, but then you have Hard Knocks end season, which is going to kind of cover the team in season. Then you have quarterback. You have the quarterback series by Peyton Manning and Netflix. That's going to be a very.
I haven't watched any of those.
It's a really good series.
They did Patrick Mahomes, right?
They did Patrick. They did 3 quarterbacks. They did Patrick. They did Kirk, and they did Marcus Mariota. Were the 3 quarterbacks that they covered. So
3 very different quarterbacks.
Yeah, like you had like in a sense a superstar, the like prodigal son, the top half of the league. Kirk Cousins, the a kind of middling quarterback, longtime starter.
The definition of mid.
Yes, the definition of mid. And then you had like in a sense a journeyman, someone that was kind of like
he was a big prospect. Marcus Mariota.
He was a big prospect, but then you also have he's a person that's like in a sense that is
he's that humble veteran type.
Yeah, journeyman who's like kind of like moving around trying to look for that one spot to where he could probably win back a job. So it was a really good series. I loved it. I really liked that series. I'm
gonna have to get hip to that.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I learned a lot more about Patrick's wife, and the more that I learned about his wife, the more I just don't understand why people don't like his wife.
Well, because she's just kind of like a lot of her social media posts are like really annoying.
But I don't care.
I think it's mostly because
wife.
Patrick Mahomes is really good and he's beating your team, so you have to find something to like assassinate him on. But you can't do it.
Unassassinatable, and his wife is a great person.
Exactly. The only thing you can really get him on is his little brother, who's deservedly going to jail.
I would say his wife is an amazing person, and she gets a lot of hate for no reason.
She used to be a part of that Jackson Mahomes. Oh my God, his family's.
She accidentally dumped her beer on one Bills fan, and people were, oh my God, she's such a terrible person. No, because
her and Jackson would make like TikToks and stuff in the booth. While they're up by 30.
Okay, Mark, they're up by 30.
I know,
there's no
like,
game.
What else are you gonna do?
What else am I doing? We're up by 30. We're winning. Like, what else you want from me?
I think it's just a side effect of them being really good at football.
Losers. You niggas are mad because you stinky out here.
They're trying to find something to hate Patrick Mahomes on.
Crazy.
Like he puts ketchup on steak.
Okay.
That's really all I can think of.
I wonder how does he get his steak cooked? Because if
he looks like a well done steak kind of guy. If he's dipping it in ketchup,
because I just want to say this, if he gets his shit done medium well, like all you other nasty heathens out there, clearly medium well's not that good, and you should stop judging people who don't get medium well done steaks because sometimes you don't like your steak with a little bit of pink, and you want your steak to be cooked.
Speaking of medium well and not very good, let's talk about NFL preseason, Tyler.
I want to say one thing. So going back to the quarterback series, I know you haven't watched it. You should watch it. You should.
I'll watch it.
I think it's like 8. I think it's like 8 or 6 episodes. Great is a
per
great
guy
thing.
Or like
8 is it's kind of like they're mixed into it. It's not
okay.
And then they go up to the Super. They pretty much they go to the Super Bowl with Patrick. My 3. This is what I would like to see. They either stick to the same model to where let's say that they choose 3 people like a superstar.
Yeah, but eventually you're gonna run out.
Yeah, eventually you are gonna run out, but you choose like let's say a superstar, a kind of a long-time veteran like a Matthew Stafford, Derek Carr, someone like that, Geno maybe, and then either a rookie or a person like Baker, or someone kind of that Baker
big personality but not as good at football.
No, I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna say someone that's like someone that's probably on their last leg or their beginning. Their beginning. Like so my one thing would have been I would have liked to see all 4 of the AFC quarterbacks on the next quarterback season 2. The reason why I say all 4 of the AFC quarterbacks is only because
So Joe Shiesty, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
No. AFC North. So like
AFC
Lamar, Kenny, Deshaun,
Joe
can't. And
that
Lamar
would be
and Deshaun.
That would be
Kenny.
very interesting.
I think
I'm eternally interested in Lamar Jackson and what he does outside of football because he's like
quiet,
closed in. He's not that big personality.
But he does have aspects of a big personality. The way he dresses and all that and all the other things.
Yeah.
For him to be such a kind of like in a sense a very subdued, quiet person, with how flashy he dresses is like those two don't always typically go together. If that makes any sense.
His fashion is very similar to that of an NBA player.
Yes. Well, I feel like most NFL players, even some offensive linemen, they have like that in a sense, like that rapper / NBA.
No,
type
not
yes,
like no, but there's special ones. There's the Cam Newtons of the world.
Okay, but Cam dressed like how
Russell
Westbrook would.
Zeke.
Russell Westbrook would dress. Like they dress very
No,
close.
he dresses more like Kyle Kuzma.
Who? No.
Like Russell Westbrook would be wearing like a weird shirt or something, but like Kyle Kuzma wears those like shitty like
a blouse
like
almost.
He's wearing a mink coat that's fluorescent pink.
Cam is more Westbrook than he is Kuzma. I think you're wilding.
I don't know. Just the hats and the mink coats and stuff. It reminds me of Kyle Kuzma.
I feel like that'd be great. And if you didn't do the AFC North, because I feel like the quarterbacks are all in different parts and different aspects. Deshaun kind of doing a bounce back and seeing if he
hasn't played a lot of football.
Yeah, in the past 2 years. Lamar
200. What was it? 290 days.
Yeah, something like that. And then you have Lamar. Is he really the second greatest? I feel like
I mean, he's his own agent.
Yeah.
He's like Mr. Independent, I do everything myself type deal.
So I feel like, again, a lot of this, I feel like by doing the 4 AFC quarterbacks, because they're all kind of they're all in different spots, that'd be very interesting. If not that, I would say Joe Burrow kind of taking that Pat Mahomes role in the kind of like the star quarterback role, and then Matthew Stafford or Derek Carr to replace Kirk Cousins, and then again personally, I would say Bryce Young because he was the first overall pick in
I don't know if they would fall around a rookie quarterback. I feel like teams have like clauses in the rookie quarterback, especially a first round picks contract, where like we can't have anybody following you around with cameras or nothing. Like we can't have that.
But I feel like it would be. Okay, Baker, maybe Desmond Ridder, someone or something like that, something similar to
Sam Darnold.
No, I don't want to follow a backup. I don't want to follow a backup the entire year.
Colt McCoy's going to be a starter.
Where?
Arizona.
Well, yeah, because Kyler Murray's hurt.
Yeah.
I'm
just saying.
I don't want to follow Colt McCoy either.
He might keep that job. No, I'm playing.
He's not going to keep that job.
I'm a Kyler Murray hater, but
he's not going to keep that job.
He's not going to keep the job.
So what's up? What's happening right now?
So
NFL preseason.
There's a lot of things happening. There's NFL preseason.
Saints.
The Browns and Eagles are practicing. Tyler obviously wants to talk about the Saints.
Listen, the Saints were freaking beautiful. First drive.
They just cut James Washington.
They did cut James Washington, but it's all right. They have
they're looking for another running back. It seems, Tyler.
They have one, and it's Darrell Williams. They finally actually this is kind of funny.
They just signed him.
They did sign him. This
is 1 hour ago. Players to watch. When did they just sign him?
They signed him today, like early today.
Okay, this guy Ross Jackson is behind the times then.
Yes, he's he's a beat writer for them. He's like one of the people that I actually watch on YouTube that kind of like in a sense he digs a little bit deeper than most national media can do or want to do. So it's really nice to watch people like.
Oh, there it is. Welcome home, Darrell Williams.
Yeah.
Darrell. Is it Darrell or Darrell?
I think it's Darrell.
Darrell. Okay. Yeah, because they had Kareem Hunt visiting. They had
Anthony Barr visiting.
Anthony Barr, but like
they signed Jalen Smith from the Cowboys or the Cowboys.
That linebacker.
Yes. So
that one was something that surprised me. He just got spontaneously cut in the middle of the season.
Too much money, cap casualty.
But he's so fast, like he flies all over the field.
And now he's on the Saints for a veteran minimum deal.
We can't let them get away with this. What is the league doing?
Not signing linebackers. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, linebackers and running backs are in the same boat.
I can't let you say
they're in a
that.
similar boat.
No, because if you're
running
Fred
back
Warner,
and linebacker used to be a very high valued position.
If you're a Fred Warner or a Roquan Smith, and you have in a sense you can play the run, but you're also great in pass coverage.
Yeah, but that's two guys.
You're always
That's two guys.
No, there's more to guys than that. Tremaine Edmonds for the Bears right now. He's one of those guys that I'll put there. Demario Davis for the Saints is another guy that I'll put up there. Pete Warner is good. Pete Warner is most definitely one of those guys.
I don't know, Tyler.
He's
a lot
underrated.
of these defenses that are popping up really don't care about the linebacker position all that much.
Mark, because they probably have a very high-scoring offense, and then they don't have a good defensive system.
Lots of 4-2-5 sets and wide nines, and
then that's another thing. Is like the role.
they're looking for that hybrid, small, fast linebacker.
Not too small. You still need them to have some type of size, like about 6'2" to 6'4", somewhere in that.
They're also looking at guys like JOK.
JOK is struggling, and the Browns may not extend him.
But he's so good when he's playing. He's injured a lot, though.
That's the thing. He does,
and his injuries could be coming from his size.
But I would say this: so I'm about to say the signing, the Duro signing is, so the rookie that they drafted this past year, Kendre Miller. He's supposedly hurt. They don't know how good, or let's say they don't know if he's gonna be ready to start the season, at least week 1. Kamara suspended the first 3 games of the year, which is kind of like they really lucked out on that suspension. That's kind of crazy because he could have got like 6 games, and he only got 2. So that's really good. I mean, he only got 3, and that's really good.
Lots of running backs getting signed.
Yeah. But again, at the same time,
Dalvin Cook got signed to the Jets.
This was the time that I felt like a lot of media members and or like kind of people like that were saying like, yo, like look towards the middle or like kind of the back half of training camp, like that a lot of these guys are going to start kind of like very fastly and very rapidly start popping off, and they're going to start getting assigned to teams. Because if you look at it, you're getting into the second preseason game, probably need a few bodies. And you're kind of seeing who works and who doesn't work. And you're kind of like sitting there and you're like, all right, like this is what we have. This is what we don't have. This is what we need to move on from. And like you're kind of like trying to get ready to break down to the 53.
Well, no, you break down to the 53 literally after the last preseason game.
Yeah. So, again, you kind of get ready to do all that.
Speaking of preseason.
It's looking good.
Moving
Are
over.
the Browns playing the Eagles?
The Browns are playing the Eagles, yeah.
Oh,
so the Browns and the Eagles are having a combined practice and then playing each other, I think, on Friday.
I can look it up real quick.
Yeah. So regardless, there's a lot of stuff coming out of that camp. I'm an Eagles and a Browns fan, so it especially affects me because I feel a certain type of way about Joe Bitonio getting pancaked by buddy that just drafted by the Eagles.
Thursday. They play Thursday.
Jalen
Carter.
Pancaking the All-Pro. It makes me happy
but
and
sad.
giddy on the Eagles fan. No, because it happens. When you're an offensive lineman, it happens. Joe Bitonio's up there in age, and he's taking days off, and we don't know the context of these drills, but from Philly's perspective, they're all freaking out about Jalen Carter pancaking Joe Bitonio. Apparently, Deshaun Watson is throwing 3 picks in a set of drills and is making me really kind of.
I'm not worried about Deshaun Watson.
I'm not worried. It's just like
I'm
wondering why people put so much weight on Deshaun Watson threw 3 picks in a play in a practice. It doesn't matter. I mean, you don't know the context of it. They could just be running skeletons and, he's practicing trying to fit a ball in a hole to see if he could do it. Like, I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot of context. People are experimenting, so you never know until week 1.
I'm not worried. The first on that preseason game, the only drive that in the second preseason game that Deshaun, it was very efficient. They drove down. He got out of the pocket
all the way to the 2-yard line,
and then just couldn't fit it in because
when they ran the ball 2 times in a row on the goal line from the shotgun formation.
But again, but to be fair, that is the formation that they're gonna run out. They're gonna run out of.
Yeah, they're gonna do a lot of read options and RPOs from that spot, I imagine, in the red zone. A little more concerning though from the Browns front is Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, and Jack Conklin all left the field today.
Not concerning.
It's a little concerning because
I wouldn't say
there's no updates on Jack Conklin. So apparently Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward was just precautionary. It happens because they're veterans. But Jack Conklin, if we lose him, we're really going to have to look at that right tackle position and pick. You're probably picking DeJuan Jones. So you kind of have to get him into shape, get him up to speed. The only encouraging thing that came out of camp was that DeJuan Jones really had some good reps against the Eagles' defensive line.
Yeah.
And then the Eagles' offense was very complimentary of our defensive line.
I feel like this year is gonna. Again, I feel like this year is a very big. It's a big year. I feel like this year is the start of the clock. Like I think the clock. It starts when the kickoff starts this year. That's where the clock starts. Like I feel like this is where, Jimmy and his wife sit there and be like, listen. If we're gonna keep, whether it's the GM, the coach, or whoever,
this is the year.
However we're gonna do it, depending on how this year goes, the year after this one, we will know if the heads are about to roll or heads are rolling or not. So I feel like this year is the year that everything starts. Like this is not like the joke around. This is we put a lot of money into this. We're really sitting here. We put a lot of money in this, and we're ready to see some return on investment.
Especially that $60 million cap hit for next year.
Yeah,
Deshaun, we got to really figure out what we're doing because next year is going to be slim pickings on the free agency market for us.
So again, it's just about like we're here. So again, I feel like I can't wait till Thursday. Legit 2 days from now. Can't wait for the Thursday night game. Hopefully, we get a good game. DTR, Dorian Thompson Robinson. Yeah, he's looked amazing. So that's like a really upside. Like I feel like he's easily going to beat. I feel like
Kellen Mond's gonna be on the practice squad.
If not,
DTR is gonna be your. Yeah, exactly. It all comes down to semantics of how they want to build this roster.
Personally, I'll be very interested to see.
But I mean, you have those special new designations. So they might be inclined to keep Mond on the practice squad and then make DTR that designated quarterback spot that doesn't count against your roster.
But I feel like it depends. I feel like DTR could beat out Joshua Dobbs for.
Oh no, he's definitely
for the second place for being behind Deshaun. So
but there's a reason why you have Josh Dobbs here. It's to have that veteran backup where in a pinch you have somebody with experience because. If Deshaun goes down for a couple games, I'd rather have a veteran manage the game than a rookie try and figure it out in his first start in the NFL.
I don't know. Where DTR playing right now, DTR may be that. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of camp, at the end of all of this, that on the depth chart it's Deshaun, DTR, then Joshua. So that way, then you probably cut Mond if Joshua's the third. And then
that it depends on like you can realistically keep 4 quarterbacks and put one on the practice squad, and then have one of them in that special that 40-man roster type thing.
I could, or I could get rid of them, and I was just like, DTR. Also, some of you Browns fans, you guys gotta calm down. DTR is not better than Deshaun. Like. There's a little much.
Tyler,
take a breath.
We do this every year.
Take a breath.
We do this every year.
He's a backup.
The backups take a lot more reps, I feel like, in practice and in the preseason. And everybody freaks out because you just don't have the sample size, all right? You just don't have the sample size. But you'll see week 1 why Deshaun Watson is getting paid his money.
When we beat the Bengals in Cleveland. Listen, this year's going to be a really good year. And I'm very excited. This my Saints, I'm very happy. I saw Derek Carr, that first drive, their opening drive. That was a really good opening drive against the Chiefs primary first team defense. It was really good, very efficient. Went down, got a score. Their defense on the Chiefs' first drive with Patrick Mahomes in, Travis Kelce, all those people, they stopped them. That was beautiful, nice to see.
But it's not like they're showing. Like,
I know they're not showing everything.
You can't put too much weight on this.
No,
is what I'm
that's
saying.
another thing. I feel like that's the biggest thing. You can't put too much weight, but they're
playing a shell defense. They're working on literally just getting lined up in the correct spot and everybody knowing what they're supposed to do.
I wouldn't say that with the Saints defense, because again, a lot of those guys are guys that have been in there for multiple years.
Like other newer units, so like the Chiefs offense isn't going to do anything crazy because they're just trying to get their reps in and get out.
Well, yeah, but I feel like there are a few things. Like, I don't think you can buy too much into what happens in a preseason game, but there are signs that you should look at. Like,
I mean, the offensive and defensive line you could look at, because either way, in the preseason or in the regular season, your job is exactly the same.
Yeah, what you're doing and how you're calling it and everything, that's pretty much the same thing.
It really doesn't affect. It barely affects you.
The only thing is like intensity. Like, again, like one of the plays that a lot of people that I watched that afterwards that kind of blew up was Patrick Mahomes in the game that he ran it and then he slid and everyone's like, why are you doing that? You don't need to do that. It's a preseason game. But again, he's a competitor and he's going to compete and he's not going to slow down.
Deshaun took a couple hits in the preseason game. It's hardwired into these guys to go out there
I'm competing.
And win.
Like, if I'm out here, I'm out here. I'm not just about to sit here and just throw the ball in the dirt. No, I'm gonna try to see if I can do something, make something shake. So I think that's always important, and will always have like an effect. Again, so I think for me, especially as a Saints fan and as a Browns fan, is seeing that the first team offense go out there and to see how efficient that they were getting down to the red zone, and in the Saints case scoring is like that's a very promising drive of like, all right, they seem efficient. They seem like all right, they have a good game plan.
They have it all together.
Yeah,
it's not even a game plan because the game plan is vanilla.
Well,
You're not like Kevin Stefanski was even saying to himself is like, you're not in these press conferences. He was basically like, we're not really game planning for these guys. We're basically just concentrated on getting our plays in, making sure our guys know what to do, where to line up, and run the play effectively. They're not going over much in that preseason game. These joint practices are mostly where things are going to happen.
I disagree with that because I feel like, again, a lot of the shit that you are trying to figure out, like, is who can, like, in a sense, who can compete and who can carry out our system. Like, a lot of this is about system fits and like if you're actually good, and
you could see that more in a practice than you can in a preseason.
But all a preseason game is pretty much just a practice.
But it's not as much
against another team.
It's not as much of a practice because you can only have one unit out there at once working on one thing.
That's not true. If you wanted your starters to play the entire preseason, you could.
What I'm saying is, for example, in a practice field, you have like 3, maybe 4 fields. At least the Browns facility, they have 3 fields there. You can have special teams scrimmaging up against each other. You can have your 1 scrimming up against each other, your 2 scrimming up against each other. You know what I'm saying? The entire team is working on that practice field. In a preseason game, it's only 1 unit working on one thing because it's a game situation.
Exactly. But again, all we're doing is trying to get ready for, in a sense, game situations.
Plus
I feel
that
like
gamesmanship of I'm not showing you my plays and what the fuck I'm trying to do in the red zone and stuff.
But it's like but to be fair, the thing about all that is you're not really changing your offense too crazily from off season to off season. So like for the most part, whatever you showed, he's been here for what? He's going to his 4th year. So whatever he's shown in the past 4 years, he's not incredibly changing from what he's already shown and already put out there. Like everything that, like, again, there is film on what he calls and what he likes to call. Like he's kind of switching up a little bit.
Yeah, but you had an entire offseason to change that. Like, for
example,
but
you're not changing all that in one offseason.
The offense we had last year is not going to be close to what we're doing this year.
I wouldn't say that. I feel like it's not. I feel like the only difference that we're gonna have this year is we're gonna be in shotgun a lot more.
We're gonna be in shotgun a lot more. We're gonna have one we're gonna have our tight ends out wide a lot more. There's gonna be a lot less running the ball from the I formation. There's gonna be probably a lot more pushing the ball down the field and working in that intermediate to deep routes instead of the dinking and dunking, because you need to have a fail-safe for, your Jacoby Brissett type quarterback. I mean,
I feel like there would be, of course there would be changes, but I don't think the changes are going to be so noticeable that, in a sense, that it's not something that that teams already don't have on film. Like, because again, you have the same offensive. It's the same offensive system that you've had. It's just
not really.
It is. It's the same. It's either on film when he was calling plays and when he was in Minnesota, or like the first few years
you
that
think
he was
he hasn't
here.
Evolved since then?
Very, very rarely do you actually evolve. Very
rarely do you actually not evolve, or else you get fired.
I disagree.
That's the biggest critique on Mike McCarthy.
And again, not evolving, and he's still won the NFC North multiple years. He's again a great player.
No.
Again, you're not changing so much.
He won that because of Ron.
You're not changing so much to where, in a sense, it's something completely different or something that a team hasn't seen. Like, you're not putting out completely brand new, in a sense, film for teams like they've never seen before, unless you have a completely, especially if it's the same play caller. If it's the same person calling the plays,
this is a completely different team.
Not really. Like,
yes, your wide receivers are basically going to be completely different in their roles. Plus, you're adding Elijah Moore, which could do different things for you.
But again, it's not something that hasn't been seen before. It's not something that.
No, but they haven't seen it from you, Tyler. That's all that matters.
Yes, they haven't seen it from you, but it's not something that either that it's not already in his tendencies.
That team is game planning for you, and you own it.
But again, this is where it's a little bit different, because if you're a great defensive player, yeah, you're going to study the players and what the players are going to do. But if you're an elite all-time defensive player, you're not studying the players. You're studying the defense. You're studying the play caller. You're studying what they like to call, how they like to call it, and you're understanding.
Coach is studying another coach and not the players. No, that doesn't make sense.
No, if you're a coach, if you're a player,
definitely have to game plan for the players as well.
Yes, you have the game. If you're a player, yes, you're studying for the people you're going to line up against. But you're also studying.
And the coach is going to be like, for example, if I'm playing.
So if I could say one thing real quick. So Luke Kuechly would always say, yeah, I'm watching film on the players, but I'm also watching film, because this is some of the things that he did. Is he was like, I'm not just watching film on the players. I'm also going back and I'm watching what this coordinator did when he was with this team, when he was with that team, and I'm not just watching what the players are going to do. I'm watching what the OCs did in the past, because again, they're not offensive play callers.
Not a lot of people
do
that, Tyler.
But again, the truly elites do that. That's what.
But you're not going up against an elite Hall of Fame talent middle linebacker every week. You're not.
You may not. All right, the linebacker may not be like that, but the safety may be like that.
More likely than not, a coach is tipping off a player on this coach's tendencies and what they do.
So again, it's still on film. It's still there. I think is the only difference from the previous years are we're not going to be in much pistol and as much.
No, we're going to be in pistol. That's a type of shotgun formation.
We won't be under center a lot. Let's say that.
If anything, we're going to be in pistol a lot more, where you have Nick Chubb lined up behind Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson's in shotgun.
I feel like a lot of the formations are going to be like Nick right on his hip.
There's going to be a lot of running the ball up the middle, a lot of outside zones and screen passes.
I don't think that the offense. I think the offense will be changed, but it won't be changed too much to where you're like, oh my God, I would have never thought he would have called that. I think that it's going to be like, all right.
If we're doing that, Tyler, again, I will have an issue.
What?
We've been questioning his game calling for a while now.
But it's like it hasn't really need to be questioned. It's like,
no, it has.
I don't think
There's
it has.
a couple times where you're
I feel like people have been mad that I feel like some of the times that I've been the most upset is because he hasn't been aggressive enough on certain play calls. Like, you probably should have went for it on a 4th down here and there.
Or like, why don't you have Nick Chubb on the field? If you're throwing the ball, why don't you have Nick Chubb on the field to at least make the other team think you're running the ball?
Because that's probably that's not the best thing to do. Is
in the red zone? When we had an issue with in the red zone, why don't you have Nick Chubb out there? If you have him out there,
I want a legitimate pass option.
He's a legitimate pass option.
He's not a legitimate pass option.
Just don't pass it to him, Tyler.
He's not a legitimate pass option.
Tyler, even the threat of him getting the ball in the backfield is enough for a safety to stay up and watch it.
I really don't think it does. I really don't think it does.
It does.
I really don't think it does.
He's the best runner in the league, Tyler. And yes, it does.
He's not the best runner.
He's the best running back in the league.
He's not the best running back in the league. There's a Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey.
No, Derrick Henry has too many snaps under his belt. I think he's going to fall off this year. He even fell off a little bit last year. Nick Chubb, best runner in the league, best running back, period.
Saquon, Josh Jacobs.
Not better.
Aaron Jones.
Not better.
I think all those are as good, if not better.
No.
Yes, most definitely.
They might be better pass catchers, but they're not better running backs.
We can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But so one last thing before we wrap it up for today. College football.
Yep.
CFB on the AP preseason rankings have came out. Have Georgia ranked number 1. Right behind them is Michigan number 2, Ohio State number 3.
LSU
Alabama
went up
4.
11 spots.
Yes. LSU at number 5, USC at number 6, Penn State number 7, Florida State number 8, Clemson number 9, and Washington number 10. Those are the top 10 AP
dominated
preseason.
By Big Ten and SEC right now.
Was that three schools?
We got 3 in the Big Ten.
4, technically. Next year will be 4.
What, Washington?
Actually, next year will be 5. Actually, technically, next year will be 5. You have Washington, USC, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. Next year, like technically, if we're going by what it's going to look like next year, it'll be 5 technically. So,
The ACC ain't going nowhere. So.
The ACC is not going anywhere. Their TV money don't. Their TV money locked up to 2036.
So Tyler, do you want to talk about the 2024 national champions?
I believe that this coming year, I think the Ohio State
Buckeyes.
No,
we know. I was addressing them as the 2024 college football champions.
How do I say this?
Ohio State.
I'd be very shocked if they did not win. I'd be very shocked if they did not win this. If they don't win, it's
because of their defense holding them back once again.
And then at that point, we have to fire the DC again. God damn it.
Yeah.
Shit. But no, I think that I feel like this team is strong in a lot of areas. I think they're strong on the D-line. They got really good linebackers. I love Still Chambers and fucking two thumbs, Tommy Eichenberg. I love those guys. It's just about.
Thumbs.
I think that is just more about.
He was the best linebacker in the country last year, wasn't he?
I don't think he won any awards for that.
I thought he won the award.
I don't think he did.
Oh.
I don't know the name of the award.
But this defense is. We've been lacking in the pass rush department. The corners.
No, we haven't.
Yes, we have.
No, we haven't. We really haven't.
The corners have been much to be desired in coverage. The safeties have been good, but
that's the part that I disagree. I think if anything, I feel like the corners have been. I think the corners have been a lot better than the safeties have. I feel like a lot of the reasons that we've been blown out a lot of the times were because
it's hard to say because we're not in the room. We don't know whose responsibility is what.
No.
But they really do.
We do know
getting blown up.
When someone gets a ball thrown over their head and the safeties are looking around like, wasn't that your zone?
Well, but it depends on what coverage. No, it depends on what coverage.
No, Mark. They play with 3 safeties on the field. No, it's the safeties, not the corners. No, we're not gonna put this on the corners. It's the safeties. The safeties are getting.
The corners also got dusted up quite a bit last year, especially in the Michigan game.
No, the corners weren't getting dusted. The safeties were getting dusted.
The corners were also.
No. The corners aren't bad.
The Michigan game was bad all around.
The Michigan, because the safeties were not in position.
Tyler, we beat Michigan. We win the national championship. That's the recipe.
I disagree. I don't think that
we could play them 3 times.
We could play them 3 times. We could
because that new rule takes in effect this year, right? With the Big Ten championship.
I think it's either next year. I think it's this year or next year. I feel like it's next year that they get rid of divisions and it's the best 2 teams.
Because then you got the big game, Ohio State versus Michigan, rivalry week, and then you could potentially play them in the Big Ten championship. And if we're both top 4 schools, you can either play each other in the national championship or in one of the playoff games. This is nuts.
Jack Campbell. He won the Buckus Award. That's the best linebacker, Iowa linebacker.
Damn it! I thought it was Eichenberg.
No, it was someone else in the Big Ten, who's really good. I feel like this year is gonna be very. I don't know. I feel like Georgia's. I want to say fall off, but yes, fall off. It's gonna be It's not gonna be like a steep drop, but it's gonna be a noticeable drop. I think that Alabama regains its.
Well, I mean, they had an NFL They had the Philadelphia Eagles on the field last year, Tyler. I don't know what you're talking. Like, it's really hard to stop the Eagles in college football.
It is hard to stop the. but I think that I feel like this year for college football, I feel like Ohio State and Michigan will both be like number 1 and 2 until they meet at the end of the year.
No, I think there's going to be a SEC team slid under there.
I disagree. I don't think
it's gonna go Big Ten, SEC, Big Ten, SEC.
I disagree.
Depending on Alabama and their quarterback situation.
I think the top 2 teams this year will be Michigan and Ohio State. I think Georgia's mainly because.
But they have to play each other. That's the thing. You have to play each other
at the end of the year. But like again, for the most part, if Michigan and Ohio State, if neither one of them lose and
Does Alabama play Georgia this year?
I do not know. But again, I feel like for the most part, if you're looking at it and you're going off, I think Georgia's gonna like probably have like a loss, maybe 2 losses, and I think Alabama have a loss, maybe 2. And then I feel like if you're Michigan, Ohio State, if you just go undefeated and you don't lose a game until let's say you play each other, I think that's.
They in fact do not play. They do not play Georgia this year.
And again, I feel like a lot of, as much as people would love to shit on and make fun of someone like Stetson Bennett, I think he was a really good quarterback. And I think that the person behind him.
He was good enough.
Exactly. He was good enough to win 2 back-to-back national championship games. And I think just how Ohio State's in a very.
He's that A.J. McCarron type player for them.
Just how Ohio State's in a very precarious. Quarterback situation.
We got a backup plan though.
I feel like Georgia and Alabama are also in a very precarious, are in just as much of a precarious situation at quarterback on their teams. And I don't think that Georgia and Alabama have as good of, let's say, offensive units around their quarterbacks as Ohio State does with Emeka Egbuka,
we're going to
Julian
see
Fleming, and
Marvin
Harrison.
Julian Fleming and Marvin Harrison is really hard to top. That's
like
probably the top unit in the country. Let's be real.
I just say, if you look at a lot of different preseason rankings, you have Egbuka's always ranked, maybe like half of them have him being the second, another half have him being top 5, but he's always a consistent top 10 wide receiver in the nation.
He's a sophomore, right? Or is he a junior?
Junior. I think he's a redshirt junior.
He's a redshirt junior?
Yeah, I think pretty sure he's like it is like.
Oh man, we're gonna lose them both this year.
Marvin Harrison, most likely, and then we could actually realistically we could lose all 3 of them. We could lose Egbuka this year. We lose Fleming. And then and we
reload,
lose,
baby.
I'd say the reload's not bad. Like there's a lot
They got a lot of 5-stars.
A lot of 5-star receivers that came in. A lot of 5-star receivers.
Ooh.
Which I feel like one thing that I would not be shocked if this did happen, if let's say Archie Manning decided I don't want to sit and wait behind Quentin Ewers, and he used his transfer thing to go upstate. He was like, yo, they got receivers, and God forbid if let's say we win the national championship, we have receivers, we have a defense. Like, why not go up north?
You're also gonna have brand new running backs by then, I think, right?
Yeah, I feel like this is the last year. This is most definitely the last year for
Like every single playmaker is going to be drafted.
Like you're gonna have, I feel like a lot of people off this Ohio State team. Like you're gonna have a lot of them go in the top.
Unless
like,
something catastrophic
first
happens and like one of the running backs gets injured and needs to come back to raise their draft stock, but
I feel like even then at that point, I don't think they're coming back because I feel like they're very close to running the risk of losing a lot of 5-stars behind those guys.
Yeah.
Evan Pryor hasn't gotten a lot of shine, and Evan Pryor is a really good prospect, a really good back, and like he doesn't get the same amount of playing time because look at the people in front of him.
Mm-hmm. It's like imagine being a college coach looking at these dudes
and
that got that dog in them, and you just got to pick one.
Yeah, it's rough, but it's like again that's a part of being a coach and being put in the situation that you're put in. So I feel like it's very interesting. It's good. It's a good thing to have. Like I feel like that's the best thing.
It's gotta be great for that camp.
Yeah, competition and like everybody, you're going against some of the best in the country consistently. I'm very excited, especially for Ohio State, to see what Jack Sawyer does. Like to see that now that he can actually
finally shine.
Like to see that he can actually put his hand in the dirt and actually like go up.
That finally you're putting him in the defensive end now.
Hopefully, I hope so. Like I feel like that's like that.
They were running him at linebacker, and I was like, this dude was like the best pass rusher in his class. Like,
well, the reason I feel like the main reason was because you had Zach Harrison there, and it's like you have to beat who's in front of you, and Zach Harrison like he didn't beat him, so like you can't. We're not gonna take you. We're not gonna just because you were highly.
But
recruited.
I get it. It's also like Jack Sawyer's a smaller body.
Yeah, and Zach Harrison's a very big man, very big guy. So,
big dude.
Yeah, very big dude. And I think Jack Sawyer, I feel like hopefully this year, what we see is that Jack Sawyer gets his hand in the dirt. So you have JT Touheys on one side, you have Jack Sawyer on the other side.
Then we'll finally have a dangerous pass rush for the first time in a while.
Guys, don't worry about him. He's smoking dick. He don't know what he's talking about.
I know exactly what I'm talking about.
You don't know what he's talking about. But no, I feel like
JT didn't break out until what? Halfway through last season, he had a really big game.
The beginning of last season, he broke out. Like he had a great season last season. Like he had a great season.
Yeah.
I
don't think it was the entire year. He had that breakout game. What was it? I forget what it was against. Maybe it was Penn State or something like that.
He had like one of his biggest games was against Penn State, but he had multiple big games in the beginning part of the year. If anything, it's more of the fact that he kind of slowed down on the back half of the season than it was that he had than it is. Oh,
yeah, because they started, shifting the offensive line a little bit towards him, and that he had a lot more to deal with ever since he broke out in that Penn State game.
I still wouldn't say that. I feel like a lot of it was just more that the coverage on the back end wasn't the best that it could have been.
Yeah, the corners and safeties were bunging it up in the end of the season.
I feel like a lot of it is if they had that extra second to really stop, get home, and get there.
We're really spoiled.
They'd be fine. Hey, we are spoiled.
We're sitting here being pissed off because we didn't win the national championship.
Who's we? Like, don't say
the
we,
fan base.
You.
The fan base. The fan base.
Cool.
Tyler, the only reason why the fan base is talking about, Ryan Day hasn't beat Michigan in 2 years in a row is because we haven't won the national championship in a while.
I feel like they would still be saying that even if he did win the national championship.
No, if we won the national championship last year, what does this say, Tyler? What does the ring finger say?
They don't care because that is one thing about college football. It's like the end all be all rivalries do matter. You have to beat your rival. Like it is, and that's the thing. Again, that's one of the things I love about college football is rivalries matter. You have to beat your rival. It does not matter. Yes, we won the national championship, but did we beat our rival? Did we beat them? Did we take their heart from them?
I swear to God that the last couple of years, our hearts have been ripped out.
Yeah,
there's nothing worse than eating the delicious chicken or the delicious turkey that I made, and then watching our team get exploded. And then me getting yelled at for being sad.
That's rough. It was rough. This that Friendsgiving, that was a very rough day. It was a very rough day. But again, it's just part of the chorus. I think that I think that we're going to have a lot of good football. A lot of good football coming, guys.
It's all on you, Kyle McCord. It's all on you.
Listen, it's August 15th right now. Listen, we got like few more months.
Not
even months, weeks. We have weeks. Yeah. College football starts. Ohio State plays September 2nd.
Week 0 is next week, right?
Yeah, I think next week. And then what is it? I think the first preseason, the first NFL game is the 7th of
Yep, it's the 7th.
Yeah, the 7th.
Also, I want to promo this a little bit. The OBP fantasy draft is happening. Fantasy football is a very big thing between our friend group. We love talking smack with our friends, fantasy football. We are doing a draft, and we're going to update you guys throughout the season on, at least me and Tyler's games. If anybody else wants to come on in the league and talk about it, talk some shop a little bit, we could do that too. Not to say we're the greatest fantasy players of all time, but we can certainly try and beat the algorithms because we did not do it last year.
Great.
We did not beat the algorithm.
I had one slip up because, end of the season, they're not really playing their starters all like that, and I lost because of that.
That's the hardest part. It's the hardest part.
I'm legit. I ain't worried about none of these people.
The algorithm beat us all. The algorithm beat us all. We lost to an auto draft team, and
Ben. I think Ben drafted his team.
No.
Oh damn.
Him and Faith auto drafted.
Damn. Auto drafts. They help.
The algorithm beat us. That's all I'm gonna say.
But other than that, we thank you. We love you. Make sure you guys have a good day.
Thank you for the support on our last 2 episodes.
Follow us on YouTube at Ohio Boys Productions. Also on Instagram. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Have a good night.
Peace out.